Hello, my lovely friend. Today we're doing a mediumship book review on this book right here by Kay Reynolds, The Evidential Medium. I absolutely love this book. I highly recommend that you purchase it. I will have a link in the description down below. But I want to cover 5 topics from this book that she talks about. Now, there were so many more in here. I probably could have talked about 15 or 20, but I narrowed it down to 5 that I really think are super important and values that I have in my mediumship as well, and things that I really resonated with when I was reading this book. And so I want to share those 5 with you in this video. I do want to start this video off by saying that Kay Reynolds was born with mediumistic abilities. She was able to see and communicate with spirits as a very young child and as she was growing up. So I do preface that if you are starting out learning how to become a medium, you don't have to have been born as a medium in order to become one. I was not born as a medium. I learned how to become one. And now I'm a professional medium offering courses to viewers like you, teaching you how to become a medium. So even though her book talks about how she saw spirits and communicated with them from a very young age, I want you to know that you do not have to be born as a medium. You can learn. It takes time, it takes development, it takes patience, but you can do it. I did it, so can you. So with that out of the way, I want to cover the first topic that she talks about in the book that I absolutely resonate with really deeply and really love. She has a quote that says, "If you do not believe in mediumship, you have not found the God source within." What does this mean? Mediumship is a natural thing. Mediumship is a soul-to-soul connection. And this is something that I have said for years on this channel and to all of my students in my courses. You can learn how to connect soul to soul. Mediumship is just a conversation your soul inside of this body is having with another soul. Outside of their body, you can communicate with the soul inside of a body. That's psychic development work, but we're talking about mediumship. So I loved this quote. I highlighted it, I circled it, and it's something that I really like to bring into my mediumship courses as well, is that when you don't believe in mediumship, when you say I can't, when you say I won't, when you say I never will be able to, it's true. You're making a true statement, but you haven't found that God part of you within. We are all one with God. We are all connected to God. We are of God. We are all God. And therefore, we all can communicate soul to soul, spirit to spirit, mediumship to mediumship. As part of this statement that she makes, this quote that she says, she goes on to talk about how if you've never had a mediumistic experience, that it's hard to ascertain that ability. It's hard to understand that you can do this. You can become a medium. You can connect for mediumship. But that the most important part is that God part within. And we all have, feel, experience, do, see, are, have different lives, and therefore we learn differently, we experience differently, we feel differently, see differently, grow differently, learn, all that. So when you are experiencing yourself as God, you have to learn yourself. When I first started my mediumship journey, I thought, I'm just going to connect to spirit, this is going to be awesome. No, you have to do the inner work to learn yourself, to learn who you are, to learn how you feel and learn and think and how you perceive information. I might see an apple, and to me that's going to say, okay, that's a teacher. You might see an apple and that means, they worked on a farm or an orchard. Everybody's going to get and receive information differently, and you have to learn what those things mean to you. Spirit is using what you know and think and feel and have experienced through your lifetime. They're using your memory bank to bring information to you. So they're connecting to you, shuffling through your memories, if you will. I know that sounds crazy, but it happens in an instant. And they will give you information that resonates with you, for you, so you can understand. And so if you're not in resonance with that God part of you, which means if you're not in resonance with how you work, if you're not in resonance with yourself, knowing yourself, healing yourself, experiencing yourself, it's going to be so much more difficult to do mediumship, to connect for mediumship. The best practice in mediumship is to start with you. Heal yourself, learn about yourself, go inside, meditate, connect, sit in the power. Learn how you work, and your mediumship abilities will start to take off. Number 2, she says the qualities that you need to be a medium are already within your soul. You don't have to do anything but connect to your soul. Your soul knows how to connect to another spirit because it's been doing it since the beginning of time, the dawn of time, forever. Your soul naturally knows how to communicate with another soul. The quote goes on to say that only you can allow those lessons to unfold. Only you can allow how you learn as a medium, how you work as a medium to unfold. So she's talking about this in reference to finding a mentor. And I really love how she says in this book that the mentor can only guide you somewhere, can only show you, but you're the one that has to do the work. You're the one that has to find how you connect. You're the one that has to find how you communicate with spirit. And this really resonated with me a lot. When I first started my mediumship journey, I took many courses from many different teachers on mediumship development. I wanted to take as many courses as I could because I'm learning something new from every single teacher. I was learning different techniques from every teacher. I resonated with this from this teacher and this from that teacher and this from this teacher. So I personally loved taking development courses, but I did have one teacher along the way who said, you have to do it this way. This is the only way. This is the correct way. Everything else is wrong. You have to get names. You have to get this. You have to get how they died. You have to get their address. And that's the only way to do it. Otherwise, you're not truly connecting. And that really defeated me. That really, really put me in a slump of mediumship where I just all of a sudden, because this mentor was saying, you're doing it wrong, you can't, it made me feel like I couldn't. And so I really feel like she's going on to say, like, finding a mentor is important. And it is. I resonate with that a lot. Finding a mentor, even if it's not me, finding a mentor that you resonate with to learn mediumship is very important because you're going to learn the foundations, the aspects, the techniques, how to connect, how to get information, how to get evidence, how to go deeper with your evidence. You're going to learn all of that through a course with a mentor. But never let a mentor tell you you can't, or my way is the only way. Only you can do it this way. This is the only way it works, because that is never true. In anything in your life, even if you're not talking about mediumship, maybe you're talking about finances. Maybe you're talking about how to raise your children, right? No matter what in life, there is no one way. There is no right or wrong way. It's just how you are able to do it. It's how it feels best to you. So I love that she talks about this in her book, that you are the one that has to do the work. You are the one that has to find the way. You are the one that has to let your mediumship unfold the way that it unfolds for you. Don't compare yourself to others. Don't conform to what a mentor says or does. Don't make yourself fit into a box because another student in your class says, oh, this is it, right? You have to let your mediumship unfold the way it's meant to for you. Your soul already knows what to do. Your soul has already experienced communicating spirit to spirit, soul to soul, since the beginning of its inception. Our souls automatically know what to do. It's our ego that gets in the way, this body that gets in the way. You have to learn how to set that aside and allow it to unfold in the way that's right for you. The next thing she talks about is a spirit checklist, but it might not be what you think. So a spirit checklist is, okay, I got the name, check. I got the way they passed away, check. I got the state, the county, the country they lived in when they were alive, check. Okay, that's a spirit checklist. But she talks about it in a different way. She says when she first started in her mediumship journey, same as me, she had a mentor who said, you have to do it this way. And her specific mentor had a checklist of what you had to get, or you weren't really connected. You weren't really doing mediumship. And same as my experience with my mentor, she had the same one where it really defeated her, deflated her, where she didn't feel like she was doing it because this mentor that she was looking up to, right? You've got a mentor, you kind of put them on a pedestal, which you should never do. And it kind of made her feel like because she wasn't completing this checklist that her mentor said you have to do, it made her feel like she wasn't a medium. So I love that she talks about that in this book. You should never have a mentor on a pedestal. They're just there to guide you. They're not there to create for you. They're not there to make it happen for you. They are there with you, and on the same level as you, showing you, hey, try this for you. This might work for you. This is how I did it. See if it works for you. Here's the technique. Take this technique and run with it so that it works for you. That is what a mentor should be doing. I love that she talks about that in this book. It is really important on a mediumship journey that when you are looking into mentors, that you find one that you resonate with. Watch their videos over time. Feel into their energy. How do you feel when you watch a video? Do you feel excited? Do you feel connected? Do you feel aligned? Or do you feel, oh, I don't know? Is that I don't know because you're afraid to do mediumship, which you shouldn't be, or is it because the mentor doesn't resonate with you? Okay, you have to select your mentors for you. Just as you're doing your unfoldment of mediumship, you have to do your unfoldment of finding a mentor. And I love that she brought that up in this book. One of the next concepts that she talks about, she calls it the mind journey. And this is where she gets into mediumship and how to do it. It's middle to almost towards the end of the book, and she starts talking about the mind journey. And she's saying that you have to let spirit lead the way. I know that when we are doing mediumship, we kind of want it to work in the way that we want. And I'll use the example again, names. We want to get your name. We want to get your address. We want to get how you died, where you died. Like, we feel that that's what's beneficial. But she talks about in the book how when you're connecting for mediumship, you are of service. You are of service to the person in spirit, and you're in service to your client, or maybe you're in the practicing stage, you're in service to the person that you're practicing with. And so she says here that you have to let spirit lead the way. Spirit is going to know what needs to be said, what needs to be felt, what needs to be heard. You don't need to let your ego get in the way, which I know is really hard because you've got a client staring at you, waiting for results, waiting for that big piece of evidence to come in, right? I know it's so hard. But she talks about in the book how when you set yourself aside, when you kind of step back and you let spirit lead, you let spirit, tell you what they want to say, that's when the magic happens. That's when things start to take off, when your mediumship readings become that powerful reading. Now, to you, in your ego, in your mind, you might think, okay, because I know the spirit's name, I can hear the name, that makes you feel like, oh my God, this reading is amazing. But your client might want to hear something different about, hey, that receipt that was in the drawer, you're thinking a receipt, a piece of trash, what do I care? But that receipt could mean something so amazing to your client. Whereas if you give them the name, your client's like, okay, right? You have to let spirit lead. Spirit knows what your client needs to hear. Spirit and your client had a relationship in this physical world. They know each other. You don't know them. So you have to get out of the way and let spirit lead when you're giving readings. And the last thing I want to talk about kind of ties in with the previous one, and she calls this the wow factor. So in order for the wow factor to come in, you are giving a piece of evidence that wows your client, blows your client away. And let's use the example I said before. The person's name, that's not going to blow your client away. They know their name. But when you're letting spirit lead, let's say spirit is showing you their home. As the medium, if spirit is showing you their home, you have access to the home. Open up drawers. She says that specifically. Open up drawers to the credenza that you see. Or maybe you're in a closet. Open up the closet doors and what do you see in there? Telling your client what you're seeing in this closet, right? So I want to give you a little bit of a wow factor story for me. My dad passed away in 2014. Somebody killed my dad. And I had been on this spiritual journey, this mediumistic journey for a long time. Now, my dad died in 2014. Currently, at the time of this video, it's 2024. So it's been almost 10 years. And when my father passed away, I said, Dad, I want to hear this one thing. And I don't want to say what it is, just because every time I hear this piece of evidence, this is the wow factor for me. And it's something extremely random. And it's something that you just would not think of to say, just off chance, off heart, off mind. You would not think to say this. And so I said to my dad, I want to hear this one thing. So I will say that in the 10 years, I've heard this one thing one time. And it was literally the only thing this person said. And I wasn't even in a reading. I'm in a class currently for inner child healing. And so the teacher is a psychic and a medium. And she was giving examples. And then she looked at me and she said, well, you know, what if? And she said this thing. And I thought, oh my God, I've waited 10 years to hear this. And that wow factor was just amazing. Now, I've seen other mediums and they've said, okay, yeah, your dad's name. Okay, they've said that every time they say his name. How he passed away, they say it every time. My dad was hit and killed by somebody in their car while he was walking in the desert, and she drove off and left him. And they tell me that. They see a car, I see a desert, I see somebody walking, right? They tell me that all the time. That to me, yes, I know you're connected to my dad, but that's not the wow factor, right? The wow factor is known between your client and spirit. You don't know it. So if you allow spirit to lead, which is number 4 on my list, and you allow spirit to give you the wow factor, which is what we're talking about now, that's how you do good mediumship readings, great mediumship readings. You allow spirit to lead. And I know that's hard to do because we're told and we're taught in society, in the world, you know, our ego, our mind knows what's best. And our mind is telling us, you have to do this. So it's hard to say, you know what, I'm going to step back. I'm going to let spirit give me everything it needs to give me. I'm going to listen and I'm just going to say what it is. No matter if it's on my checklist or my mentor's checklist, I'm going to let spirit tell me what I need and what is the wow factor for my client. And those kinds of readings changed my mediumship game. I first read her book maybe 5 years ago, like when I first started my journey. So I had a spiritual awakening in 2014 when my dad died, and then another one in 2019. And so that's when I started getting these books. This one might have come out in 2020, but right around that pandemic-y time. And when I read that, I thought, oh my God, that's amazing. That's what I want. If I am a client and I want to connect to my dad, which I always want to, I want to hear that wow factor. I don't care that you can get his name. I don't care that you can tell me how he died. I know those things. But there's certain things in our life that my dad and I experienced together that there's no way a medium could know. There's no way a medium could connect to unless they were with my dad. And that's the wow factor. And you get there by letting go and letting spirit lead. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this book as much as I did. This is an amazing, amazing book. There is so much in this book that is going to change your mediumship game. So remember, in the description, I'll leave a link so you can purchase it. And I want you to come back to this video and leave me comments about the book. What did you find so amazing? The more that you comment, the more this video gets out, and the more that other students and other people can see the value of mediumship and learning how to connect to your loved ones, friends and family. Maybe you want to do it as a professional. The more that we show that it is possible, the more people that can connect with this information, the more love and light we spread in the world, the more we are able to communicate with each other, the more love and light we spread in the world. Thank you again so much, and I'll see you in the next video.